introduce your next speaker, your keynote speaker today, former Congressman Joe Scarborough. I think many of us have seen him on a daily basis as the host of Morning Joe, and Joe served in the Congress at a time I think we're very proud of. He served in the Congress from 1994 to 2001, representing the 1st District of Florida. He came into Congress at a time when the Republicans had put forth the Contract for America. And so he understands that Republicans win elections when we stand for something. And the Contract for America was a shining example of when Republicans came together over a set of principles and pieces of legislation that made a difference for this country. So it is wonderful that we have the opportunity to hear from Joe today. He is a New York Times best-selling author. He's written the book, The Last Best Hope, Restoring Conservatism and America's Promise. He also has a new book out called The Right Path. I appreciate the fact that we're going to get a chance to hear from Joe today, because one of the things he talks about on his show is why Republicans need to stand strong on their principles, but also to make sure that we stand forward in policies that are going to make a difference for this nation, like the Contract for America. So I'm honored to have Congressman Joe Scarborough here today, the man you get to see every morning, so we know he's up early, the host of Morning Joe.
And, Kelly has been talking about the president's failures of leading from behind for a very long time. And Kelly is known and has told us, told you, told Americans that leading from behind won't get Vladimir Putin out of Russia. Leading from behind will not get Assad out of Syria. Leading from behind will not stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And leading from behind is not going to stop the type of attacks that we had in Benghazi in 2012 and we had in Benghazi just last week. One other note. You see what this says by here? It says, victory starts now. As Jennifer said last night in Cheshire County, and you want to have fun on a Friday night in May? Go to Cheshire. That place was packed. They were packed last night. But Jennifer said last night that we can't change the world until we start winning elections. And I heard Kelly Ayotte speak out against the insanity that was going on in the Republican Party in Washington, D.C. last fall, when there were circulars of firing squads, and when a lot of people were just interested in moral victories. We can't afford any more moral victories. The Democrats have won 5 out of the last 6 elections when it comes to the presidential election and the popular vote. We know what happened here in 2012 after a big 2010. Moral victories aren't going to get the State House back. Moral victories aren't going to send Harry Reid back to Nevada. Moral victories aren't going to get the White House back. And so I want to salute Kelly again for all the great work that she's done. And of course, I'm here also to talk about the top issue. What's the top issue this year? Exactly. The Import-Export Bank. I love New Hampshire crowds who participate. You got a U.S. Senator here, and she's trying to get her speech out and shout, immigration. Exactly. Obamacare. The Import-Export Bank. Immigration. Exactly. You know that curb cut. We just about 3 miles down the road here. We meet in the Dominicans. But anyway, we got to be united and we've got to be optimistic. and we have every reason to be optimistic. I saw it last night again in Cheshire County on a Friday night. As a fellow person from New England, I can say the first warm Friday night in a very long time. I'm from Florida. This is killing me. This is killing me. But we're in an off-year election. We're 6 months away, and I see people excited. And I think we understand we have to be united. We have to come together. And we have to be optimistic that this party can win on the principles that helped elect us in 2010 and that'll help elect us again in 2014. To tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm so optimistic that our message can win, I actually come from Northwest Florida. It's also known as the Redneck Riviera, LA, Lower Alabama. I was the first Republican elected in my district since 1873. Yeah. And as I told my friends in Cheshire County last night, they hung the last one they sent to Washington, so it's a tough district. But the way I won was simple. I told people what I believed in. I spelled it out. I said, listen, here's the deal. This is what I believe in today. This is what I'm going to believe in tomorrow, and it's what I believed in yesterday. So vote for me if you want that type of leadership in Washington, D.C. And I found out they didn't know it was tough. My own father, he didn't even vote for me, I don't think. But I think I got my mom's vote. And that was important. And when I went out, I had a lot of people say, I was 29 years old, I didn't know anybody, I had no name ID, and everybody kept saying, Joe, you know what, you may come in second or third, it'll be a great start for your political campaign. I said, I'm not interested in moral victories. There's one winner and a bunch of losers. I'm from the George Patton School of Politics. How many of you saw the movie Patton? A great speech, where George Patton said, nobody ever won a war dying for their country. You win wars by making the other poor SOB die for his country. And we're not going to win elections until we start thinking that way, and until we start realizing, like another general from World War II, that there is no substitute for victory. We've got so much to fight for. We've got so much on the line. Real wages continue to go down under Barack Obama. Real wages have been going down consistently since 1973. We've got a massive growing federal debt that's going to cripple this economy. When I left Congress in 2001, the national debt was $5 trillion. When George W. Bush left 8 years later, it was $11 trillion. By the time Barack Obama leaves office, it will be over $20 trillion. And what we've learned over the past decade, and we got to say it here, all right? We've got to confront the truth as we go campaign in the future. We found out that big government republicanism is no better than big government liberalism. We have got to define the clear difference between Democrats and Republicans. And when we define the clear difference between Democrats and Republicans, we win elections. And we, yes, as Jennifer said, we can change this country and we can change the world. You know, sometimes I think our party thinks too small. I really do, especially in Washington, D.C. I was at a conference with conservative thought leaders, and a lot of them started thinking after the 2012 election, we know what, the Republican Party's time has passed. We're going to be overwhelmed by demographics. The Hispanic vote's going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to go against us. Basically, we are doomed. It's nonsense. That's nonsense. It's not about demographics. It's about our destiny and whether we have the guts to tell people what we believe and what they need to hear. And we also have to understand that the reason Ronald Reagan won 49 states, the reason Margaret Thatcher, a shopkeeper's daughter, changed Great Britain forever, is because they believed that conservative politics and conservative policies didn't help the 1%, didn't help the 47%, it helped the 100%. That if you really believe that less government, less regulation, less taxes, and more freedom creates economic growth, and yes, I will say it, is a rising tide that lifts all boats, then you understand what Reagan and Thatcher understood, what Hayek understood, what Milton Friedman understood. That our beliefs and our values when it comes to the economy is just as relevant to a 17-year-old Latino in South Central Los Angeles as it is to a 65-year-old hedge fund manager in Greenwich, Connecticut. In fact, it is more relevant because the 65-year-old billionaire in Greenwich, Connecticut will have all the lawyers and all the accountants and all the specialists and all the consultants making sure he is fine. We have to worry about everybody else. And when we start worrying about everybody else, we will win elections again. The Republican Party, once again, can help change the world. You know what? We need to remember who we are. We need to remember where we come from. We need to remember our proud heritage. It was our party that ended slavery under Lincoln. It was our party that broke up monopolies and broke up trusts at the beginning of the last century, that created the new middle class, that created the new American century. It was our party, under the contract with America, that ended welfare as we knew it. It was our party, despite what Bill Clinton may have said at Georgetown this past week. I feel your pain. Well, he may feel your pain, but he's not telling the truth. It was our party that balanced the budget for the first time in a generation. It was our party that balanced it for the first time in 4 years since the 1920s, and ended welfare as we knew it and did a lot of other great things. And it was our party that had a leader go to Germany and tell Mr. Gorbachev to tear down that wall. And because of what you were doing here today, because what our friends were doing in Cheshire County last night, and what you'll be doing over the next 6 months, we can make great changes. You can win back the House. We can win back the Senate in Washington, and we can elect a strong leader to the White House again in 2016. But victory starts now. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Chairman. God bless you, guys.
Crop TV.